So welcome to our business webinar program presented by our partners at Bank of America. And today's session is what keeps you up at night? Uh, Being a founder is not easy. There are lots of things to worry about, even as you are building that dream. And so we are going to be covering today planning for your retirement, how to evaluate benefit options for your employees and yourself. We're going to be looking at tools for planning for emergencies, your exit, and your legacy. I'm Desiree Brown, Senior Manager of Digital Education and Content here at the Tory Burch Foundation, and I am so excited to introduce you to Cassandra Stahl today. Cassandra is a private wealth advisor at Legacy Wealth, and she is also their first woman partner. She finds joy in guiding clients in discovering the soul of their wealth and working primarily with high impact women and business owners. We're going to hear a little bit more from Cassandra about her background in just a second. But as a reminder, after her presentation, we will have plenty of time for Q&A. So be sure to put your questions in the question box, and we will do our best to get to as many as we can. We urge you to take notes on all of the good info that you're hearing today, but today's session will be recorded, so watch your inboxes for that replay link if you need to review anything. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our incredible presenter. We're in good hands today.
Thank you. Thank you. It was like a little love fest before this. I was gushing about how the Tory Burch Foundation, you guys just blow me away. The things that you all are doing and how the soul with which the organization run is what's right with the world. And I was commenting how I have a 3-year-old daughter, and this foundation makes me feel better about the fact that this is the world I'm going to raise her in. And I see all of the female leaders that we have here that I hope that Lucille will look up to one day. I certainly admire you all. So it is nothing short of a gift to be here. I've met some of my favorite people through the foundation. So we're gonna have some fun today. All right, so I'm going to get things rolling here. All right, what we're going to talk about today is some of those moments that can keep you up at night. Some of those things that maybe are a little anxiety provoking, that are not in the lane of your business, and actually can detract from the work that you're doing, because you wouldn't have chosen to be an entrepreneur if you had wishy-washy feelings on your vision and the direction you wanted your life to go in. You didn't do this because you thought it was easy or convenient or any of those things, because it's none of them. So our practice and my mission is to empower and to shore up and to build a strong foundation beneath the women that are building these businesses that impact positive change in the world. Because your money should be like lighter fluid on your mission, on your vision. It should pull you forward. You should be able to, with the support of your finances, move with more energy, vigor, and enthusiasm in the direction of your greatest reality, as opposed to money being a hindrance, money being number 11 on the list of 10 things that you're going to do today and handle today. It shouldn't be in the back of your mind. It shouldn't be the oh darn, thing that you think about every once in a while. This should be a source of empowerment. So in any planning relationship regarding finances with our entrepreneurs, this should create more room within yourself. A real plan with real trusted advisors allows you to have room within yourself to dig deeper and to do the things that you are uniquely qualified to do in an even bigger way out there in the world, because that's what we need. Female entrepreneurship is the fastest growing sector of entrepreneurs. I'm sure that you all knew that. And it's not only because women are finally, after 50 years ago, we couldn't get a credit card without a male co-signer, 50 short years ago. Now, all of a sudden, we're opening businesses. Our businesses are growing faster than our male counterparts. We are opening them in greater number, and we're running business with soul. Long gone are the days that businesses can be soulless. I think that this is a positive shift that we're seeing. People are awake. People want to know where your heart is. And I know that the people on this call, you're doing it. You are what's right in the world right now. So beyond anything else, my greatest aspiration for today is hopefully to create that room. Maybe maybe you have some things that have been keeping you up at night that maybe we can begin to answer today, or minimally you can at least feel like there's a hand on your shoulder and not feel like a little crazy for that concern. Most of the concerns that we hear are universally held. All right, so let's roll. This is me. You know who I am now. Let's move on. So this was my first business meeting. That's my father, John. He is one of our 5 partners at Legacy Wealth Planning. And what I will say about this is I knew 2 things. I knew that I was going to be a pediatric oncologist specializing in hematology and that I would rid the world of childhood cancers. And I knew that I was not going to be in my father's business. Here we are. Spoiler alert, guys. I'm not a doctor. I can't do chemistry. Who knew? I won't waste our time here with the full story. We can talk about that some other time. But I'm very thankful that I fell into this career and fell in love with it. If I won the lottery, I'm showing up on Monday. I might only work 3 days a week going forward, but I'm showing up. This is my purpose in life. My mission is to support, empower, and create pull for women and first-generation Americans that are running companies. So this is how long I've been in the game. And as you can see, this is my grandfather's watch. So I'm proud to say that I'm 3rd generation in this industry. So let's roll forward. When I talk to our entrepreneurs, our founders, we oftentimes are hearing these questions, and I can hear the stress. I can see the stress when they're presenting them to me. It could go a little bit like, all right, it's almost midnight. Can I retire in 10 years? Will my business fund my retirement? Get that one all the time. What if my partner dies? This is a big deal. If you're sharing the load, what if one of us isn't here unexpectedly? What if I get hurt? What if I can't work? What will happen to my family? And then, we're good at controlling our minds because we're business owners. And then maybe you'll fall back to sleep. And again, at almost 2 a.m., we're up. Gosh, should I expand my business? Should I get a line of credit? My business is my baby, but I have an actual family too. How do I balance these 2 things, right? Because as a founder, you're pretty inextricably combined with your business. In fact, a lot of the work that we do is to help figure out what our business goals, what our personal goals, and how do we make the 2 of those dance together so that your business can last beyond your career in it and your life will last beyond your business, and that the business is financially supporting you. You are financially supporting it. There should be reciprocity between the 2 of those things. How can I structure benefits so I can enjoy all my hard work? Why are there so many questions, right? I didn't need more problems, right? Because you're probably the end decision maker for a lot of things that happen in your world. If you're like the other women that I know in business. And then early morning, 5:22, I can't keep doing it all by myself. How do I attract and retain the right talent? How do I make their seats sticky so that people go, I want to work at Legacy Wealth Planning and I'm going to work here for the rest of my career? How do we have that be what people think? Especially with key people, because you want to be a business owner, not a business operator most of the time. You don't want to be everything for everyone. You want to be the owner. You're the leader. It's in your mind. It's in your body. That's why you've chosen to do what you do as a founder. Can we offer more competitive benefits? I can't keep working this late, missing things with my kids. So there's plenty of other questions. I could have done 18 slides just on this, but just to pepper some of the ideas that we hear from people, these are not crazy thoughts, and they're thoughts that can all be placated. There are ways to deal with all this. So what I'd encourage you to do, right, because we are all pulled in 90 different directions at any given moment of the day. I'd encourage, if you have pen and paper or the 2025 equivalent of that, just to consider what keeps me up at night. What is that oh shoot moment? I'm like, I'm on the Tony Robbins. I was on the Tony Robbins leadership team, and that's one of the first things they say to you is if you have that oh shoot thought that almost comes in your head and then you immediately release it because you can't deal with it at the time, write that down. Because it's keeping you, it's hanging out in the back of your mind, and it's actually keeping you from flourishing in some way. It's keeping your business from going to the next level. It's keeping you from being more present in your personal life, more present for your people, your key employees, your clients, your customers, your patients, whoever you're dealing with. So I'd encourage you to run toward the roar. If there's something that makes you uncomfortable, run toward the roar and allocate and delegate to people that you trust. You do not need to have all the answers. That'll be part of what I talk about today, is having the right team around you, because you are elite at whatever your business does. Your why in business, you are elite at that. Guess what? I'm elite at financial planning for women and first generation founders. This is what I'm elite at. And your attorney is elite in the legal space, and your accountant is elite in the accounting space. Give people the burden, share the burden with those people so you can go forth more purposefully and efficiently in the direction of whatever gives you the most life. So a little bit of a agenda for today. Here's what we're going to look at: identifying and prioritizing goals. 4 critical asset classes for your business, key areas to protect, 4 stages of business development, and then the role of business advisors. I'm going to spend a moment here on identifying and prioritizing goals. It's important that we can think of goals in a multifaceted way. It is very easy. I think about my first 5 years in business, 12 years in at this point. I think about my first 5 years in business, and it was very difficult for me to think of goals and priorities that were not directly business related. And trust me, I want every single person here, myself included, to continue to grow our businesses like crazy in whatever direction, in whatever shape that looks like for you. But it is of the utmost importance that we think about you, right? I already shared with you, if I win the lottery, I'm showing up on Monday. But what I have is a very clear why is my impact on the world, and that my business affords me the ability to be exactly the mother, wife, daughter, and friend that I want to be. It allows me to be the purest Cassandra that I can possibly be. And there's lots of things that I can describe to you of what that means to me. I'm not only curious in this exercise as to what this means as far as business related goals, but personal, because the business must fund the personal. We're not prostituting your business. Your business must fund the personal. It must fuel you. Otherwise, we get that little thing that we like to call burnout. You're too good to burn out. You're too good. We need link arms with your best self, and let's figure this out, not just for the business, but for yourself as well. So just as a teaser to kind of think about this, and Desiree and team will circulate the presentation after our time together today. So you'll be able to sit with this even more. But again, I'd encourage you, you have the time right now. You blocked out this hour on your calendar. Let's work. Let's make this matter, because there's plenty of other things you could be doing right now. So let's lock in. I'm going to give you some ideas of what we're hearing as far as priorities. I think the 1 to 10 scale is a good litmus test. 1 is I don't care at all. 10 is this is the most important thing for me to possibly be thinking about. And I would prohibit you from using a 5. 5s are wishy-washy. You're not wishy-washy. You're better than that. No 5s. Get on one side of the fence or the other. If it's a 5, it's a 1. It's nothing then. So for your business, let's think about this. Some of the things that we often hear is objectives and priorities here. Make sure that the business keeps running if you can't be there. Determine current business value. I'll spend a moment here. We had just last year, I had somebody who we had done a tentative valuation for, and he said, Cassandra, I'm not selling this business. I said, understood. It's good to know. You should be armed with 2 numbers by your business advisor team: what your business is probably worth and what you need it to be worth. This client that I'm referencing, we already ran him the tentative, hey, here's what this thing is probably worth. If you're really ready to dance, ready to sell, we're going to have a bank do an actual valuation, but here's what it's probably worth based off your financials. Number 2, by the way, if you want to sell this thing and never work again, here's what I need it to be worth. You should be armed with those 2 numbers. That is not difficult. You just need the right person, somebody like me or me, to do that for you. You need somebody that focuses on entrepreneurial planning. That's crucial, knowing what the thing is worth and how you move the needle. 3rd for the business is developing a buy-sell arrangement in the event of death and disability. For example, right now, there's 5 partners in legacy wealth planning. My husband's name is Matt. He's a lovely man. None of my partners want to be partners with him for legacy wealth planning. That's okay, by the way, because Matt also doesn't want to be a partner of Legacy Wealth Planning, not where his skill set lies. He's a professional DAD. He's a stay-at-home dad, and that is what he should be doing because he's just so darn good at it. But what would happen if I died and we didn't have a properly funded buy-sell agreement? Matt would inherit my shares and he would be the fifth partner of Legacy Wealth Planning. We don't want that. Legacy doesn't want it. Matt doesn't want it. We need to protect the business, the partners, and your personal family against that. That's low-hanging fruit. That's table stakes. For your key employees, this is a big one. We all know the people in our business to the extent that you have them, that you go, if Jennifer wasn't here, I have a problem. You know that viscerally. Sometimes people will ask me to define a key employee. You define it in your gut. There's numbers over 125K of compensation, things like that. There's numbers. You feel it in your gut. You know who your key people are. And if you don't have them, that's okay. You're going to get them. Not a bad thing to think about how you'd like to attract that person. So when they fall out of the sky and walk in your door, you have a sense of how you want to treat that person and the role you'd like for them to have. So for your key employees, right? Recruit, retain, and reward. Make the seat sticky. Make this the place that they want to start and end their career, even. Provide simple insurance benefits, survivor disability benefits, long-term care benefits. And number 3, provide a non-qualified executive benefit plan for key employees. This is a little bit more sophisticated. It could look like a lot of things, but it's basically just layering in those benefits, making sure that as profits and excess cash flow runs into the business, that you're doing something not only to reward the owner class, the ownership echelon, but also the key employee echelon. We're in the boat together. We're rowing together. This is you putting your money where your mouth is, really. And it's not right for everybody. Your business needs to be developed enough, but just to give you kind of the ground floor of what that looks like. For you, the business owner, same deal. We need things like survivor disability plans, long-term care plans. Develop an exit plan. I work with a good amount of family-held businesses. What is it? Are we passing on the business? Are you selling it? Are you selling it at discount? Are you waiting for PE to buy you? Are you waiting for a competitor to buy you? What do you want? What do you want this to look? Are you just closing the doors and calling it a day? Hanging up your spurs, saying you had a great time? I don't know. Only you know. But percolate on that. It's interesting. Like I said, my client did not think his business was going to sell. And somebody came out of the clear blue, offered him an amount of money that was larger than the amount I told him it was probably worth and the amount that he needed to be worth. So it took about 4 seconds for him to agree to that conversation. Got to think about this. Be ahead. Take the time to work on the business. Be ahead. Preserving assets for the next generation. How are we passing on, right? You build this thing to be as big, bad, and profitable as it can be. Okay, what are your aspirations? Are they charitable? Are they based off of family? Are they based off of organizations, other people? I don't know. Where's it going? You have the power to create multi-generational wealth. You have the power for some people to maybe break generational curses. You have power. As a business owner, there's no better way to move like a speedboat and to get that done. No better way. Evaluating your personal investments outside of the business. Yes, we need some stuff outside of the business. And lastly, separate your personal and business liabilities. Like I said, you're usually inextricably combined with the business. We need to do the wise thing for you, your life, and the IRS, and we need to draw lines. Have to draw lines, and those are muddy, and that's kind of a you can't see the forest through the trees kind of a conversation that an advisor can typically come in and we can see pretty clearly where the line should be, and it's very hard on the ground to see that for yourself. Not because you can't do it, but because you're too involved, right? You have every bit of capacity to handle every one of these things, but it's nice to have somebody that can see it from the outside. And lastly, for your employees, do we do group benefits? Do we do a qualified retirement plan? Do we do health and wellness support? So just to name a few, I'd be interested if any of these tick for you, jot them down. Have a conversation with somebody. You have a beautiful community out there with the foundation. Talk to somebody, talk to each other, talk to an advisor. Let's figure that out, but let that guide you. Usually with our entrepreneurs, there's a thorn in the paw. Usually one of these creates a twinge of pain for them. Start there. Start there. Progress is better than perfection. Perfection is an unattainable standard. It's the cheapest goal we can have because you're not going to get there. Progress is happiness. progress is better than perfection. I'd rather you cross one of these things off the list and say, great, next week we're doing all 14. Wildly unattainable, but let's eat the elephant one bite at a time and let somebody help you cut the meat. All right, 4 critical asset types, just to discuss this briefly. When we're valuing a business, there are 4 tranches of assets we could have. There's physical assets, machines, cars, trucks. Candidly, most of my female entrepreneurs aren't in this space because usually conceptualization is more our forte than heavy machinery. That's not to say that there aren't people on the call with heavy machinery. And thank goodness you can do it because I can hardly turn on a computer. So we need that. Usually that's going to be the leanest of the categories. The employees, the human capital. And by the way, employees, the human capital, I'm talking about the people that are truly on the arc with you. Your employees, not contractors. And I know in like stage 1, stage 2, like early development of a business, it's probably wise to contract out some work. Provides you with low overhead, provides you with great flexibility. You can take on help as it's needed. I'm talking about the people that are truly in the boat with you. The business itself, goodwill, reputation, client relationships, this is enormous, and then the business owner and key people. All of these need to be appropriately assessed to value. Sometimes people will do a back of the napkin valuation on their own business, and they'll say, yeah, we're maybe worth $500,000 because that's what, you know, our trucks are worth. No. What about your reputation? What about the fact that if you weren't here, company X is no longer doing business with you, or this account will be lost? Goodwill, reputation, the business owner, their presence, their connections, matters a lot. So all these things are not created equal in every business, but they're all relevant. If not 3 or 4, physical assets might be a non-starter. All right, so there's 4 main areas of the business. Your advisory team would be able to help handle all of this for you because you are not expected to do all of these things. Delegate out so that you can show up more fully in whatever conversations you're having with clients and customers. So you have a financial advisor, an accountant, attorney, a banker. Our personal philosophy, which you do not need to subscribe to, is that those should be 4 different people. 4 different people with a wonderful relationship, synergistic relationship. But everybody should stay in their stall is our opinion. You don't need to subscribe to that, but that would be our opinion, that these are all full-time gigs. None of these are part-time gigs. You need somebody that's fully 100% in the seat, focused, and the absolute utmost expert on that space. So beneath that, we have your 4 areas. First, the business planning is bifurcated into risk management, the things that kind of make you lose your breath for a moment when you think about what if our building burned down, what if somebody dies, and then there's employee benefits, the things that make the seats sticky. Retirement accounts, things like that. Then we have financial planning for you personally, wealth accumulation and distribution and preservation, whatever that means to you. Where do you want? Like, we're going to grow the pile of money. Okay, now what? Are you using it? Are we giving it away? Are we giving it back to what are we doing? This is a choose your own adventure exercise, ladies. And then we have risk management, lastly, of simple things. If you die, what now? Right? Just to make it as blunt and obvious as possible. And then lastly, we have exit planning. This is the one that either is at the top of the list immediately or not on the list at all. For a lot of the founders that we're working with, I would encourage you, like I use the example, my client, hey, we're going to run you these valuations, what it's worth, what you need it to be worth. Just in case, out of the clear blue came the buyer. And he sold at the end of last year, actually, and is pretty darn happy about it. So we need to think about this before we need to think about this. There we go. Take that one right to the bank. All right. All of these are customized. They all need to be customized to you. So there's a lot of really thought-provoking blanketed advice here. Just know that when you're looking at that, it's blanketed advice. These people don't know you. They don't know your personal goals and objectives. They don't know your business. They don't know your business finances, and they don't know your personal finances. So I would encourage you to have a tailored look at all of these through some advisory team and take it from there. I would encourage customization at every corner of all of this because we're looking to get the most out of your business as we possibly can. All right, we're going to roll through these key areas of business together. Your business planning first with risk management. Some of the things that we would ask that could be thought-provoking. Simple stuff. like your property and casualty? Is your liability insurance up to date? Is your intellectual property protected? I can't tell you how many people I've had that I'm doing this and it's kind of one-on-one. I'm doing this and it's in a group setting. I'm doing this and now it's on demand. I'm doing an on-demand course. We hear that a lot in our work, that there's some kind of an on-demand or a proprietary deliverable that people are creating. Protect that. That is not a tangible. That's an asset. We have to protect that. Have we protected your ability to generate income? How will business expenses be paid if you can't work? And what happens if something happens to a key employee of yours? All of these, by the way, are charged questions. These are the questions that people ask us in a panic, to be honest. They're easily solved. Easily solved. We need to figure out this. These are mostly insurance questions. What type of insurance? What amount do you need? You just need somebody to answer these questions for you. All are easily solved for you. Second, employee benefits. If I had to say one thing that people come to us about the fastest, it's probably employee benefits if you're in growth phase. The things that I would consider in this regard would be, what's the goal? So people will say to me, hey, I want a retirement account. I say, great, what's the goal? And they're like, I want a retirement account. Okay, let's take a step back. Do you want it because your taxes are nuts? Do you want it because you started your business, you drained your retirement savings, and now you feel like you're behind and need to build back up? Do you want it because you just hired somebody that had an old 401k and you want to make sure that you're keeping them? Why do you want it? Do you want it just out of principle? You feel you should run a company with a retirement account. Why do we want it? In our conversations with people, I would say 70% is spent on those why questions, because the mechanics and how to do it are simple. What I can't figure out on my own is the why, and the why informs what we're doing, how we do it, and in what quantity we do it. How would you feel about starting a job with these benefits? Like, let's look in the mirror and let's look at, okay, if I was presented this job offer, am I in the boat or am I out of the boat? It's also important, and this has been something that I remind myself as a partner of our firm every day, nearly, is not everybody wants to be the leader of the company. Not everybody wants to be a partner. Some people do just want to be employees. So do you need to offer them more security than you would need to offer you? I know the answer for me is yes, because I'm ready to like go out there, build the thing big, and it's going to catch us. It's going to be my fastest growing asset at this point. But my employees, right, there's 15 of us at this point, and I think that many of them want more security, and you need to make people feel safe. People remember when you make them feel safe. People remember when you make them feel loved and when you make them feel heard. I know that might be counterintuitive, but that's actually what this is about. That's what benefits are about. What do your employees think of your benefits, and is it competitive, right? If you go, hey, it's me and the person down the street, yeah, we should probably look at the person down the street and what they're offering, and let's do 3% more, right? Let's call what it is. We're competitive. Let's compete, right? Let's take a peek over there. Or do you know, hey, my people are coming from this role usually. What did they have there? Let's make sure that we're mocking that up or doing better over here. Next, on the exit planning side of things, business valuation, lifetime exit strategies, buy-sell strategies, business succession. This is a tough one. When do you want to leave the business? This is really a mixed bag for a lot of our people. Who will be your successor as well? And what's the value of the business? We need to think about these things really critically. And what I'd encourage you to do is take off your realist hat for a bit when you're doing this exercise and say, in the most ideal world, what does my exit look like? And then let someone reel you in from there. But think big. Think as big as it's appealing to you to think, really, because visions are energetic and they're magnetic. Dream it up and let somebody reel you in, or let somebody say, hey, if you want to end up, like I've heard people tell me, I want to have this revenue in 5 years so that we can be acquired by PE. Great. What bite of the elephant should we take next, right? That's where your business advisors would help to guide you. We would also be able to help with ideas around what the valuation is now, and again, what you need it to be for you personally. And then I'd also think about, okay, if I sold this business, am I going to keep working, or do I want to do something that's very part-time? What do I want that ideally to look like for me? Will you recoup your value from the business when you leave? You should, plus some, of course, if that's your aspiration. And how will your successor pay you for the business? Okay, let's say you have this huge business in a decade and it's worth $8 million. Who's coming up with 8 mil? I have a client. She's brilliant. She's an engineer. She's Brooklyn based. Brilliant, brilliant woman. She's 62, first generation American. And her business is worth $6 million, and her people cannot afford to pay for it. Business is only worth what somebody's willing to pay. So the people she wants to sell it to can't figure out how to pay for it. This is a problem. It's not an insurmountable problem, but a problem nonetheless. She's in her 60s. She's ready to get out. She can't, unless she wants to take a deep discount. So like, these are the things we should think about, and these are the open conversations you should have with yourself and with others. A moment on family businesses. So you all know at this point, my father is one of my business partners, John. My sister, Sydney, is also one of my business partners as well. So of the 5 legacy wealth planning partners, 3 of us are family. So I can speak intimately on this topic. I say, and I'll say it again, we are a AAA rated family. We are pretty darn tight. However, we have rock solid operating agreements. We have every bit of legal paperwork amongst the 3 of us that we have with our other 2 non-family partners. Is that right for everybody? No. But what I would suggest to you is, if there's family involved, either now or in succession for you, having an operating agreement and things spelled out and having conversations almost as if you were non-family partners might save your personal relationship someday, because it just allows you to like take off one hat, put on the other, and like, all right now we're talking about legacy wealth planning, and then we're going to go talk about our personal. It doesn't, I find that for a lot of our family owned businesses that we see, it's a good protection. It might feel silly in the moment, but what my dad would suggest is that you get these documents done when you're in the honeymoon phase and everyone's in love. Make sure that you do it then, because inevitably when things go sideways, which might be in a small way or a big way, you need a framework that you agreed upon when you were all happy with each other. One of the biggest things that we see is founders reluctant to let go. With the age of many businesses here, I don't think that that's something that would be applicable. Children aren't ready to or don't want to take over the business. So when somebody tells me, yeah, my kid's taken over, I say, do they know that? Do they want that? And sometimes it's resounding yes. Yeah, they've been working here every summer since they were a fetus. Sometimes we get that, but sometimes we get the stark opposite of, no, I've never had a conversation with them before. Right? We need to work on that. And then siblings, fight like siblings, right? Maybe there's disagreements there. Lastly, everybody will hit financial planning. This is more in the personal side of things. What would happen if you became sick or disabled to your business? What would happen if you became sick and disabled to your family? How does that work? What happens there? How would your business and family manage without you? What would happen to your personal finances? Now, I'll tell you, in early business stage, what we find, your personal finances are your business finances. There's no delineation between the two. We need, like I said, healthy lines to be drawn to make sure that you are an autonomous person outside of your business. There's a reason your business has an EIN. It has its own social security code. It is not you. You are not it, even though it might feel that way. We need to be able to draw lines. We have to be able to draw lines. And it does not mean that you are any less in love with your business. I am in love with my business. You still need lines. I'm absolutely in love with my business. And what role does your business play in retirement? Again, are we selling? Are we closing doors? Are you selling this thing in 5 years and you're going to have 15 more years work? I have no idea. But like, let's think about these things that, like, they might seem panicky. It's just math. You just need somebody that can do the math for you. Not complicated. And then at the end of it, right, we want to take the integrated approach. Our suggestion is that, right, these 4 people, they should have a good synergistic relationship. One of the questions that we're asking all of our clients is, do you have a CPA? Do you have an attorney? Great. May I introduce myself to that person? Because we should all be able to reach in the same direction, pull in the same direction. And to the extent that you're doing important things, someone has to be the quarterback. And I would submit that that person probably shouldn't be you. You probably don't need to be the quarterback. You do enough. And this isn't your area of expertise. So one of these people needs to be appointed quarterback. We pay quarterback for a lot of people. And I would say any high quality wealth advisor should be doing the same, that when you're making a decision, even if it's as simple as, hey, I'm contributing this to my retirement account that we're running through the business. Okay, your accountant needs to know that. That shakes your tax picture. Right? You need to talk to them. And then it goes to as complex as we're considering selling. Everybody needs to know. And nobody can be living in just today land. Like I'll poke at them a little bit. Accountants tend to sometimes be guilty of living in today land. Meanwhile, a quality planner and a quality attorney, they should be looking at your whole life. When we look at a client, we look at them at least through age 95. I'm running out your effective and marginal tax rates until 95, your cash flow, your liabilities, how do we work things out? We're running it all through age 95. So I'm looking at the macro. You need somebody with that scope of vision to inform the person that's living in today land. Because if all they're trying to do is get the best tax refund for you this year, I'll tell you what, when you sell this business and when you retire and later in life, you might have a tax monster that they don't realize it, but they're feeding it. That's a problem. So anyway, these people need to work congruently, synergistically with each other. There's 4 stages of business development. This is one of the last things that we'll go over, everybody, before we hit the Q&A. Startup, growth phase, maturity phase, transfer and exit phase. Maybe you're a business that's going to go through all of these really slowly. Maybe you're a business that's going to fly through all of these. I don't know. But what we did, and this is important because I know Desiree will be able to circulate, my apologies, this after our conversation today. We just wrote up a few things of, hey, here's what we expect you to be thinking about that would probably be top of mind in our conversation. Like startup, you're seeing it's a lot of just tactical. Are you okay? Or is your business okay? It's a lot of like 101, cover your bases. Protecting yourself and protecting the business. Do we tease some employee benefits? Spend 5 minutes thinking about succession maybe, and then your personal planning, knowing, hey, especially because a lot of people jump through a lot of hoops to open the doors of their business. Did your income or your retirement take a hit through your transition to founder? If so, how do we recoup? How do we make this thing worth it? How do we make it so that this was like lighter fluid instead of a hindrance? Number 2 would be growth phase. So you see it's everything, but now we're doing a buy-sell agreement. We're talking about growing the business to provide for your personal wealth. So it's a level up that we're seeing here. Then even more so with the maturity. And again, y'all are going to have this. So you could think about, hey, where do I think I am on the scale? And here's probably some of the things we should be thinking about, just to give you some ideas, because you've probably got enough floating around in your head that maybe you're not coming up with them yourself. And then transfer exit, which is the trickiest and typically the least planned neighborhood of entrepreneurial planning here in the financial advisement realm. This is extremely important. The transfer and exit is where the most accidents can happen. It's kind of like hiking. Most of the accidents happen on the way down. And when you get hurt on the way down, we have a big problem because there's cliffs. So team with an advisor. What people ask, well, where do I go for the person? I'm going to say what I said earlier. You will know. I tell people when we're engaging in our initial phone call, you will know within 5 minutes if we're a fit or if we're not. You're going to know. On this call, there are some of you that maybe are digging what I'm saying, and there are some of you that are going, she's crazy and I don't like her green jacket. Great. Both are good. You're entitled to your opinion. But what I'm saying is you have a gut feeling. Lean in. This is why you're a business owner. You're intuitive. You're a great communicator. You have pull. You're going to know, first and foremost, if it's the right person. But second, I would want to know, are they actually asking deeper questions? Is this person showing up because they see a business, so they're thinking deep pockets, and are they just trying to sell me things? Or are they actually advocating for me? Advocating for their business. One of the things I say to our clients is, I will go to bat for you every day, twice on Sundays, and nobody will cheer louder for you than me, except the people that share your last name. And I'm from the core of my being, I mean that. We're rowing together. We're rowing together. I hope that all of you find that. Uncovering missed opportunities and blind spots that others often miss, right? Are they checking the same list? Like if you're interviewing and they go, hey, we do ABC. And somebody says, we do ABF. they're the only person that said F. What are they doing differently? Why are they doing it? Like I would lean into that. And then taking a holistic approach. Again, you are past the siloed. There's a while that siloed approach makes sense. This person's going to do my retirement. This person will do my banking. This person will do my business insurance. This person will do my personal insurance. There are times that that makes sense. When you're a business owner, it does not make sense because you don't have blocks. You have webs. Everything is intertwined and it needs to be treated as such. When you move this over here, everything else moves. You need somebody that understands that. You need somebody that understands that. And then solid advice to help you as your business evolves. Get a sense of, are you the person that I engage in the beginning, in the end, in the middle, or all along? What are you? Everybody's different. And my hope is that the people that you're engaging give you candid answers. And if they don't, I suspect that you will have enough of a gut feeling to operate otherwise. All right, friends, that was a lot. That's all I got for you today. If you'd like to stay in touch, that's fabulous. We'd love to do a consultation with any and all of you to the extent that that's interesting to you. But I will then stop sharing my screen and I will pass it back to Desiree.
Okay, great. We covered a lot, but let's jump right into the questions. Okay, so stepping back to that core advisory team, which you did touch on a little bit at the end, would you be able to break down the primary differences between your banker, your accountant, and your financial advisor?
Okay, good. So you already heard my opinion, stay in your stall, and it's not just because it's my last name. Like you should do what you're doing and you should do it full time. I'll die on that hill. It doesn't mean that you need to agree with me. I'm going to believe it though forever. So, your banker, this is easy. Think about the person that you would engage for a loan, right? Lots of small businesses are operating off of debt. Think about the person you'd engage for a loan. Think about the person that's setting up your business bank accounts and stewarding those appropriately. It's nice to have a person that you know. Do I have clients that are doing banking with Ally where they'll never walk into a branch and they're never going to know the person? Absolutely. Our business accounts are at a local institution where we actually know the president. It's not by mistake. So I would suggest to you that having a personal relationship and somebody that can understand your business and maybe operate more off of conversation than the checklist. Like, for example, you go to a large bank, not to pick on them, but like a Wells Fargo, they have a checklist. If this, then this. No, let's think together. This is not a normal situation. No business conversation is a normal situation. I want somebody that's capable and able to think outside the lines a little bit, to be creative in pursuit of helping you. That's number one. Number two, an attorney. There's lots of attorneys out there. There's estate planning attorneys. There are business attorneys. There are contract attorneys. I would want somebody that's well connected and maybe handles a few of those things. This is probably the more difficult one to go by, but the first thing I would do is operating agreements are paramount. You heard me reference them a couple times here, especially to the extent that you're choosing to bring on partners. And having more than one owner, I would say having somebody that could draft those documents and advise on those would be crucial first. That's the first avenue I'd go down. For some reason, a lot of people like to engage the estate planning. I think it's just like the sexy option. Probably not. In fact, I can't actually think of a business where we'd say, oh, your first stop is estate planning. First stop is not estate planning. We will help you with matters of estate planning and let you know when you need to engage that person. Not the first stop on the train. I don't know why, but over the last 5 years, we've observed the pattern that people are gravitating toward, I don't know, they got good SEO, who knows? And then next we have, right, who did we do? We did banker, we did attorney, at your accountant. Please get somebody that understands how businesses are incorporated. SC, Sole Prop LLC. They, in their sleep, you should be able to wake them up out of a dead sleep, and they should be able to tell you about how your business is set up. They should be able to make proactive recommendations. So I hear often from, hey, I'm running a Sole Prop LLC. When do I shift to an S Corp? Okay, I can give you some basics, but really, I need an accountant to make that call for you. I need an accountant to make that call for you. So you need somebody that lights out can do it. The other thing I want from an accountant is somebody that isn't in today land. The accountants are most most likely to be in today land because they're engineered to get you back the biggest tax refund. By the way, nothing's really tax free in this world, or very, very few things are. If you get a tax refund today, that's code for you're paying it later, which isn't bad. But there needs to be balance. I can't get all my tax write-offs today and get hammered when I'm 70 and have no write-offs, no dependents, no mortgage, no debt. That's bad. Not to mention, taxes are going up. Have you heard? So there's a balance between the two, and I need somebody to intelligently think, not just push paper, not just push paper. And then for the financial advisor, they need to be a fiduciary. What that means is that they're held to the highest legal standard in the industry. The way they would know is they will be a CFP. I'm a CFP. All of the partners in our practice are required to be a CFP. If they are not a CFP, that's a non-starter in our world. The CFP means that this person has in-depth knowledge on the web. They know the corners of financial planning. They know what they're expert in. They know what they're not expert in, and they're going to get the right people. And they're highly, highly, highly regulated, which you need. It's a pain for the advisor, which is why some people don't like it. But may they be in pain in your best interest? Absolutely.
And on the subject of paying, what are those general costs involved at the early stages and setting up the advisory team that you just spoke of? And are there any pricing models for services that people should stop and say, okay, that's a red flag. Let me keep searching.
Okay. Attorneys are in la la land. I swear Dr. Seuss made their fees. Attorney practices are very hard to quantify. So like, for example, I can tell you somebody that's going to build your operating agreement for $10,000, and I could tell you somebody that's going to do it for $500. There's no, it's almost like weddings. It's just the wild, wild west. Anything can happen, guys. So I would interview a few. And depending on the level of complexity, and this is the same in the accounting realm as well, it shouldn't be the cheapest option, but it shouldn't be a real head scratcher. Interview a few, average out, and then ask people to justify. Hey, you're 10 grand instead of 4 cents. Can you tell me why? And what I want to hear from them cold is, here's our philosophy around our fee. Here's what you get for our fee. If they cannot articulate that again in their sleep, no go. No go. You don't have enough time in your life to audit whether your team knows what they're doing and why they do it. You simply don't have the time. You need to be able to lights out trust these people. So the attorneys are the ones I'm worried about there. People do things like living trust. They keep you on retainer forever. It's very concerning to me. The second thing, if we go to accountants have raised their rates, we've observed over the last 5 years. I would say an accounting arrangement is very much so you get what you pay for. I am nervous when somebody tells me that their accountant does their returns for less than $1,000 a year. I'm worried about that.
Okay.
And I would expect that they have hourly bills. So there should probably be bills per return. There should probably be hourly, because I want them to meet with you quarterly and to examine, do a diagnostic of your financials and be able to say, here's where we're tracking. What do you think your business expenses are? Are you heavy in business expenses for the fourth quarter? So we need to be careful of that. Financial advisors, there's 2 models. You can have them pay a fee for the plan, the actual planning document, or you can pay them along the way, or some combination of the two. As I said before, they need to have a cold philosophy. What do you charge? Why do you charge it? Lights out, they shouldn't blink, and they should answer that. What I would be wary of in today's market is there are firms that charge per transaction. There's a lot happening out there right now. Markets are briskly moving. Markets are volatile. And I find that the per transaction thing often leads to a conflict of interest. I won't say we never do it, because there's an appropriate time and place for almost anything. But that concerns me in today's world. That to me means that somebody's going to charge you out the wazoo, or they're not going to do anything. They're going to set and forget. So that right now, that doesn't make sense to me. Every situation is different, so I wouldn't paint them all with the same brush. But core, they should be able to explain their compensation philosophy, lights out, no questions asked.
So it's would it be fair to say that there is no hard and fast rule, something like you should be spending a third of your operating budget on your core advisory team? It's really more about finding someone that meets your needs and can speak to how best they can serve you and your business.
Absolutely correct. And a third to me would sound nutty. That's a lot. That's a
Okay.
lot. Yeah. So I don't know what it is. It's not a third. um, yeah. And what you're looking for is, can they justify it? Because again, to quote my father, cheap is expensive. Um, I want somebody that like if they're gonna pay, if the value supersedes the payment, we're in. Let's roll. Like, is this person gonna link arms with me or not? Like that's the real litmus test. So even though it's a dollars and cents question, the answer is actually mostly emotional in nature.
Yeah. And you mentioned the role that family plays in business. Can you drill down further on what type of financial precautions
Mm.
founder or business owner can take before getting married to protect their business and professional investments?
Cool. So let's take that in two tranches. The
Okay.
first is I'm getting married, and so like my business existed before I got married.
Yes.
um, you would want to have prenuptial agreements. You would want something to say, my business is not a marital asset, if that's in fact your aspiration. But you'd also want it, like I shared, the buy sell. Matt is not about to become a partner of legacy wealth planning if I die. And we have specified agreements on what our share value is. So if I drop dead later today, there is no question what my shares in the company are worth. There's no question about how I would be bought out. So to the extent that that there's multiple partners, we need to have that conversation. If you don't want it to be a marital asset, because that's hard. Like when things are called a marital asset, it's because it's been commingled in some way. So that could be as simple as you're running an LLC and there's like blurry lines between your personal and your business bank accounts, and your spouse also uses the personal accounts to go grocery shopping. Boom, now we have a marital asset.
Okay.
So it's very easy for something to be considered a marital asset. So we need to do some deep thinking about whether you want that or not. And what would we want to happen if you became separated or if you died? Not pleasant. Take the time to think about it correctly the first time so that you never have to think about it again. And then likewise with family, the things that I would want to see in an operating agreement are what happens if one of us bails? Like if I were to exit the business abruptly, I know I would get a haircut. My shares are worth X. I'm not getting X. The agreement is that you're getting less than X. We have actually a percentage on that of you get this much less because you basically violated our agreement and you're leaving before the party's over. I would want to know that. Again, buy, sell, disability buyout. One of you can't work. You still pay that person? How do you do that? Is that going to come from company funds? Does it come from an insurance policy? Think through the doom and gloom. And you probably won't percolate all these decisions or these questions on your own. An attorney or a financial advisor would be well suited to bring up these questions because I've seen this movie before. Thousands of times, actually.
Okay. And I want to circle back to something that you did touch on. It sounds like there maybe needs to be a different agreement, or it's yeah, different agreements if someone were to start a business while married, but they're still interested in perhaps protecting what they build.
Yeah.
Um, yes, what does that look like?
Legal documents can say just about anything you want them to. We need a qualified attorney that is used to opening businesses, and that person would be able to guide you appropriately on the right documentation. You can hold the business such that it is not a marital asset. If you're doing that, you need to make sure that your finances in the business and your finances personally are siloed. And again, the attorney would be best apt to guide there because every state is different. We've had some community property states here um, where it's much, much harder to plan like this. Much harder. Not impossible though. Not impossible. We need a great attorney for that.
Wonderful. And switching to the topic of the benefits and potential ones to offer your employees, in your experience, which ones have moved the needle in making a startup or small business more attractive to high performing talent? And are there well, like what would be your top three or five that you would recommend someone prioritize?
Excellent. Whether it's financially correct or not per the textbook, retirement accounts move the needle. Point
Mm,
blank. They move the needle because, and I'll specify more. So if, let's say you're a one woman band. Okay. If you are a one woman show, you should still have a retirement account to the extent that your cash flow permits, because every dollar you put there, we have the ability to not have that be taxed today. And if we're in expansive growth phase, your taxes are probably going to be a nightmare. Taxes are the single largest headwind almost everyone on this call will face, and they have to be managed. And they have to be managed before you know they're a problem. It's just the reality of things. If we wait, you're too late. So retirement moves the needle big time. And it's a big headline, especially for a small business. If you could say, hey, we're offering a retirement account. And what I notice really moves the needle is we're offering a retirement account and there's a 3% non-elective contribution. What the heck does that mean? It means we're kicking in 3% of your income. No matter what you do, you can contribute up to the IRS limits, but we support you. We're putting in 3% of your income. And just to quantify this, you have somebody that's coming in and making 50 grand a year. 3% of their income is what, 1,500. So now we're talking what, $125 a month?
mm.
Not astronomical. The effect is astronomical. Huge. It's enormous. And it makes you seem like, man, these people are buttoned up. And the secret is they're actually not that difficult to arrange, actually. The second thing that I find that is a pain point is health insurance. Group health insurance. How am I getting health insurance? Am I going to be tossed out into the marketplace? And then the third, I would say, is life and disability insurance. Can we do that? And if, by the way, if you're trying to attract a worker that is over the age of 45 or 50, long-term care insurance. And the beauty of that, these group plans are not terribly expensive. They're a write-off for the business. So we actually find that because you're able to insure the folks in the business, we're able to take that deduction. Sometimes you could even end up pretty close to a wash. It's not very expensive because of the tax savings associated to the business, actually. So you look great, solid, and people are protected. It is a big statement for a small company, which I would categorize as less than 25 or 50 people, which I think is the majority of who we have here. It is a statement to do that. And it's not, I can't think of a situation where it was more difficult than the person thought it would be. Almost always easier.
That's great. And we're running up on time, but I want to ask this last question, that for businesses that have seasons of limited or unpredictable revenue, how do you suggest those founders still save for retirement?
We're gonna do it in chunks, right? Technical term, of course. So what I would love, and for the sake of investing in the market, it's fabulous if we can contribute monthly. It's called dollar cost averaging. It's far and away the most efficient way to invest in the market. Okay, well, we don't really live in a textbook. We kind of live in reality. So, gosh, if you're making hay Q4, stuff it like a pig, put all the money in it in Q4. And my hope is that we can implement systems and we can round out the business a little bit so that we can do solid monthly contributions. That's the goal, but let's start where we are. Let's move the needle now. Let's take the first bite of the elephant. It's going to be wonky. That's why like my newer business owners, sometimes we're going to talk a few times a year. So be it. It's fine. We're going to get there. I'm going to get there with you.
And I think that that is a wonderful note to end on, Cassandra. Thank you so much.